Hello and welcome back to another video in the Learning to Program with Go series. In today's video, we're going to be covering how functions are values in Go and how we can use variables and functions together. Just like I can declare a var I to be of type int, I can do the same thing for functions. Functions can be assigned to variables and called accordingly using the assigned function's behavior. So what does that really mean? Well, let's give an example. I want a program that's going to say hello to a customer and then goodbye to the customer when they're leaving. And so that means that I'm going to need two different functions. My first function will be called greet, and I'll take in a name that's of string type. And it won't return anything, it's just going to print hello name, whatever it's given. Similarly, for goodbye, we're given a name that's going to be the string data type, and then it will, instead of saying hi or hello, we'll say goodbye given the name. These two functions have something in common, right? They both take in a name string, which the name or the name of the parameter or argument does not matter. What really matters is that it's a function that takes in a string and then returns nothing. So they have all these similarities. Well, in Go, we have functions as values. Just as an int is assigned to a variable, we can assign a function to a variable. So in here, I'm going to create a variable called interact. So var interact, and it's going to be of type func string, meaning that this variable will hold any function that takes in a string as its first argument and nothing else, and then returns nothing. So when a customer enters my store, I can assign interact equal to greet, but we don't call greet. We don't use parentheses to call it because we don't need to. Instead, it's just simple greet. And so if we want to use interact now, all we have to say is interact and then pass it the string. Customer can go do stuff within the store, and then as they're about to leave, all we have to do is reassign interact to goodbye and then call interact Colton, and then it would print goodbye. So let's go ahead and run this, and we get hello Colton and then goodbye Colton, all just from using the interact var, which is assigned to a function. Just to add additional detail here, instead of it printing out to the screen, we can just return a string instead. So let's have these functions both return strings, and then we're going to use printf in both. So let's just copy this line right here, put it there, and change that to hello. And you'll see that we're getting compiler errors up here because interact is supposed to be a function that takes in a string but doesn't return anything, right? Well, if we now need to change it to something that takes in a string and also returns a string, you just append string to the end. So now I can get a message right here that interact will put something into, and then I can do a format.println that prints out message here. And we'll do the same thing for interact down here. We'll have to reassign message one more time and we're good to go. So let's go ahead, run this one more time, and we get hello Colton and goodbye Colton. And to prove that this is a different run from the previous program, we're actually getting this extra new line here, because what I'm doing is I'm returning a new line in the greet function and the goodbye function, but then I go to print it out and println will append another new line at the end of whatever string it was given. So we actually have a new line sitting right here and then another new line character sitting on the next line. So then when the next string that gets printed out to the screen, it's now 2 lines below the original one. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of this syntax right here. It looks really confusing. It's not as simple as just var a int, right? It has all this extra syntax to it. So Go has a feature where we can just type alias this, since this is basically just a type. So above my main function, I can say type and then give the type name. So I want it to be called interact func type. And then we give what the underlying type really is. So we can copy this function as a value. And so now any func with a string as an argument and then returns a string can be labeled as an interact func type. So let's take that out, copy this name, and our program still works and compiles. All right, that's going to be it for the video. It's supposed to be short and sweet. You might not be seeing the value of functions as values in Go quite yet, but in future videos such as the anonymous functions and closures, you'll see how this all comes together to create fluent and flexible code. If you made it this far in the video, I'd like to thank you, and I encourage you to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.